take a look at finding that perfect holiday turkey. Plus, we learn about the green roof movement and take a look at some of our favorite stories from this past season. All this right here, coming up next on Live Green, Tennessee.
This program is brought to you in part by
wherever you are in your life, wherever you are in Tennessee, there's a real Christmas memory waiting for you. Find a Tennessee Christmas tree farm near you at picktnproducts.org.
and by the U.S. Department of Agriculture, Southern Sustainable Agriculture Research and Education. Connecting the grower to the buyer, the country to the city, and smart shopping with a healthy lifestyle. It's Live Green, Tennessee.
Hello, I'm your host, Melinda Kiefer, and I'm proud to bring you stories from across our great state on tonight's Live Green, Tennessee. Nestled in a peaceful hollow near Hohenwald, Avalon Acres Farms was started by Tim and Jennifer Bodner. Having left behind corporate careers to pursue this lifelong dream, the Bodners collaborate with 40 Amish family farms in community-supported agriculture, delivering free-range meat, eggs, and produce across the mid-state. During the holiday season, we find that one of Avalon's specialties is all-natural free-range turkeys. In this story from Live Green, Tennessee's Todd Gerald.
My wife and I met a little over 10 years ago, and we were working in Nashville, and we were traveling in and out from Murfreesboro, and so we were driving in and out an hour a day. And we went sort of from a 10-year plan to a 5-year plan to a 3-year plan to a 2-year plan, and eventually we just one day I went into work and I said, this doesn't make any sense. We're not happy. And I got up from my desk chair in a cubicle and I walked out, and I was working as an engineer, and I just left. And I drove over to my wife's workplace, and she was in hospital management, and I literally went to the glass tower, and she was up on the 15th floor, and I called her on the cell phone, and I looked up and I said, honey, this is your white knight. I'm here to rescue you. Come down. And we're never going back. And she wasn't really believing me, but she came down, got in the car, and we left, and we drove away, and we never went back. And found this place here in Hohenwald, Tennessee. It was the absolute first place that we looked at. And that's when we made the leap into the great unknown. Had no idea what we were going to do. Again, we just knew what we didn't want to do. My wife said, I don't care what we do as long as it's not chickens. And she had a bad episode when she was a child with a chicken. And so she said, anything as long as it's not chickens. A month and a half later, we had 2,500 chickens out in the field. Bought a book, You Can Farm, Farming 101. I had a degree in physics and mathematics, and I was working as an engineer. But I was a physicist, and when we came out here, became a farmer. So I guess that would make me a pharmacist. And I didn't know there was more than one kind of chicken when we started. And we just learned everything from the ground up, from scratch. It was a bit of an interesting transition from management to someone who manages and does everything. Turkeys once a year was a very obvious next step for us, and we found that the difference in the meat and the taste, texture, and quality has a great deal to do with just how it's raised. The poultry that's raised outside is naturally higher in beta-carotene, omega-3s, CLAs. It's got a much lower fat content. It's reduced in fat, but it gets the critical kind of fat. It's called intramuscular fat. That only occurs when an animal is allowed to exercise. And most animals, including poultry in factory farms, are contained into a very small area, and they never get a chance to express their chickenness or express their turkeyness. We raise them out on pasture and we move them to fresh pasture daily, and they enjoy outdoors and sunshine, and they're controlled from predators, and they pick grasshoppers and bugs and happy birds the way God intended them to be, and so they taste happy meat and the way God intended it to. The happiest time that the birds ever have is when we move those pens from location to location to location every morning. And they're at the leading edge of the pen because they're excited about getting into the new bugs and the grasshoppers and the worms. And so they're all, ready to go when we move those pens. And the pastured poultry, the pen raising method is such a great method because they are moved to fresh pasture daily, as opposed to a free-range model where a turkey or a bird might sit in their own dirt every single day. The pasture poultry model forces them to move to fresh pasture, green pasture daily. So it's actually even more of a humane model. After they're done here, when they've been raised to the full size, whatever harvest size we'd like, we take them and we process them in our processing facility that's in-house. It's on the farm, and vacuum seal them, vacuum package them, at which time we would take them out there and put them on our freezer truck and freeze them after 24 hours of sitting in a chill tank in water and then being packaged. These are our refrigerated trucks that we use in order to deliver all of our products, and we also use them for storage at different times of the year. They're old converted ice cream trucks. We can flip them from refrigeration to freezing, whatever suits our needs. So we're not able to butcher all of our turkeys all at the same time. Chickens we can butcher about 500 per crack, but with the turkeys around the holiday season, we're only able to butcher about 100 at a time. So we butcher 450 per a season, and we deliver them at the holiday season, and we store them here at about 0 degrees Fahrenheit. So they're all fresh frozen 24 hours after they're butchered. Especially around holidays, we make special deliveries up to the Nashville area, as well as Spring Hill, Columbia, Murfreesboro. We deliver to Hermitage. We go to Kingston Springs and all the way out to Jackson even. And we're always open to new locations if we have enough interest and people contact us. We're always willing to look at new locations. The turkey's a little bit different than you get in a store-bought turkey. Store-bought turkeys are usually injected with sodium solutions and things like that, and also artificial flavor enhancers. And they have a lot higher fat content that our turkeys have. And so our turkeys cook in approximately 1/3 less time and about 30 degrees less temperature. Now we provide the full cooking instructions to go along with it so that people understand how to cook the turkey. But if they use their own recipe, they just need to reduce it by 30 degrees and 1/3 less time. It's important that people know where their food comes from. And when you buy food from a local farm, you start to get in touch with the seasonality of your food. You start to get in touch with your environment. You start to walk outside of work and you look up in the sky and you say, it hasn't rained in 3 or 4 weeks. I wonder how that's affecting my food supply. And that's a connection that many people have lost years ago. And when they belong to a CSA, they start to get sort of in sync with the planet again and sort of in connection with the outside world that they live in through the food. And there were times when we just weren't sure if it was all going to work. We just weren't sure where we were going to be able to make the mortgage payment or how we were going to be able to do this or do that. And here we are 10 years later. It's been an incredible journey, and through it, a lot of tears, a lot of sweat, a lot of blood, a lot of 4 or 5 a.m.s, a lot of all-nighters, but I would never give it up. I would never go back. I would never do anything differently than we have. It's been worth every ounce of effort we put into it.
Wow, wouldn't that look delicious on your table this December?